Namaste. I'm with Dr. Lina Thakar. I'm an Ayurveda physician healer based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Today I would like to share some tips regarding healthy hair. Often I get the request and also have guests here asking for hair fall, hair thinning, early balding, sometimes obviously some autoimmune conditions like alopecia. But today I'm going to share simple tips about wellness regime for hair health. So first of all, hair is a byproduct of bone tissue, and bone's significant health is associated with Vata dosha in Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, as we all know, we work on three dosha, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. The balance of these three dosha maintain health, wellness, and imbalance of these three doshas will actually create some what you call imbalances or some disorders. In that sense, Vata dosha is a dry, cold, light, and when person have Vata problems, then there is one problem for hair, and if there is a Pitta problem, then again we see some hair issue, and I'm going to share some variations about that here. So typically, when dosha gets imbalanced, there are three types when dosha gets imbalanced. One is obviously dosha gets aggravated. An aggravated dosha in the basically main GI tract seats when they don't get obviously occupied in their seats and they are aggravated, they're extra, they go into the circulation, and then obviously through that they find a bone kind of mainly tissue system where they start their imbalances, and the weaker tissue places is called Vaigunya, so available weaker tissue for these doshas to initiate imbalance. But that's a simple, quick one sentence Ayurvedic perspective or pathology for imbalances or disorders. So when Vata gets aggravated, so I was sharing one is about aggravation of the dosha, second is obviously obstruction of the dosha, especially for Vata, and the third obviously is less amount of dosha. Usually in Ayurvedic management, aggravated dosha is actually paid attention more, because aggravation of one dosha is actually share of other dosha also it is regarded. So most often Ayurvedic classic text about aggravation we call prakopa of the dosha. So Vata dosha getting aggravated by a couple of obviously reasons I would share here. Cold foods, when you're eating continuously cold, that's going to be aggravating to Vata, because same quality aggravates the dosha. If you're eating continuously raw, that also may aggravate Vata dosha. Basically dry foods like popcorn, chips, snacking, all these things will aggravate Vata dosha. Anxiety, stress, hormonal patterns will aggravate Vata dosha. Constipation will aggravate Vata dosha. So what does Vata dosha has to do with hair health? Then this Vata dosha, when aggravated, find a bone tissue, and that's where it gets actually deposited, and that's why we see bone becoming porous, which is having more air content in bone tissue, called Vata dosha imbalance, and hence that bone tissue will start weakening, being brittle, and the byproduct of bone tissue is hair, we call Kamala. And Kamala of bone tissue are two, one is hair and second is obviously second are teeth, and that's why in these two areas when we see imbalance, we put attention to more than symptom or the site of the symptom to the cause of the problem, which here Vata dosha gets more into bone tissue, makes the bone weaker, and that's why we have weak hair system, or hair starts falling, hair starts thinning, you start getting little obviously patches of a hair ball, and that's why one has to pay attention to making pacification of Vata, cleansing Vata, and really making bone tissue healthy. Before I go to the remedies, I would also like to share the second understanding of hair fall is too much Pitta, too much sour foods, too much spicy food, too much Pitta aggravates also, and Pitta also causes early balding, which is normally for Pitta dosha people you see early balding because it's more related to heat, and once heat is there mainly in head area, then that's why early balding. But too much sour foods also actually have the hair fall basically, or hair thinning effect, and that is why too many pickles, sauce based products like tomato ketchups and marinara sauce too much of pickles I just shared, salad dressings. So a lot of sour foods and fermented foods aggravate pitta, and that also may thin hair and have some hair fall problems. So these are simple understanding of Vata dosha aggravation and Pitta dosha aggravation and how they cause hair fall. Remedies are simple: pacifying the dosha first of all with diet, and that's why for Vata you need to have more warm soup consistency foods. More grains in the diet will be helpful, obviously, and avoiding dry foods are important. Second thing is also gassy foods like beans are not recommended, and for pitta problem, as I just mentioned, try to avoid all sour foods as much as possible, and also fermented food. So in diet regimen you need to follow this couple of things, and since bone tissue obviously needs calcium, then all the calcium related remedies will be helpful for hair health also. And that's why in fact sesame oil, especially coconut oil, when coconut oil actually is applied to hair, head massage, it is very much important. But there are two very important herbs that are very much good for hair health. One is Brahmi and second is Bhringaraj, and that is why this Brahmi oil or Bhringaraj oil that you can apply to hair roots and start massaging, which will be very much helpful. Brahmi also helps to reduce anxiety, stress, which are other causes for aggravating Vata, which eventually make the bone brittle and the hair falls initiates. So really Brahmi is in that sense very good for reducing the stress and actually initiating healthy hair. But at the same time, Bhringaraj, which is an absolute important, we call maca in India, which is very important for hair growth. So 1 teaspoon of each oil can be rubbed and actually applied all over hair. And also in that coconut oil is helpful because coconut is rich in calcium basically. So that is first local application. The second I just mentioned about some dietary tips, some anti-anxiety and anti-stress remedies are recommended. Hence some Vata posture yoga practices like basically lotus pose, cobra pose. Basically some Vata postures are very helpful, and at the same time making sure some meditation practices are done, and also some calming breathing exercises are done. So, and finally also one important tip is that check your water, basically in drinking water, even water for shower needs to be checked, and you can have some filters, you get a clean water for shower, and that is another helpful. Do not use strong chemicals related shampoos and conditioners. Try to go more herbal, organic, natural, and that will be helpful. Gooseberry jam, amalaki is another wonderful herb that is very good, which actually specify for pitta. It's also good for vata, and that is good for hair health also. So some this and triphala. Make sure you don't have constipation. Constipation is another important cause for obviously lots of imbalances, and that's why just simple remedies for releasing constipation like triphala tablets or triphala powder is very helpful. Triphala in general also is helpful for hair health because it has amalaki, bibithaki and haritaki, where amalaki is also very beneficial. So, and it helps you release cleanse every day, release some toxins every day. So simple of these tips one can include for hair health, and I have shared lot of information here. Do not go for any lot of complicated remedies and basically chemical formulas. Sometimes or many times really solutions are not actually complex, solutions are very simple. So always find your solution in simplicity rather than finding any complex regimen or complex program about that. So I hope this is helpful. And the last again just remedy is to do wonderful loving nice head massage. So head massage and abhyangas and head massage done at Ayurvedic Institute or Ayurvedic programs are beneficial also, because that is more detailed abhyanga that will be very beneficial in general health and obviously hair health also. So this is about hair health, and I wish all of you wonderful healthy hair, and make sure you prevent in first place. And if you have problems, just the simple remedies may help, or that eventually you can contact an Ayurveda healer who would work with you more consistently for any deeper or chronic imbalances where maybe panchakarma is needed. Because when you have chronic imbalance, when you have a lot of things going at that time, simple home remedies or some diet lifestyle regimen, body may not be ready for it because it's already so congested in imbalance. And that's why at that point you need to make that shift, and that is why it is better to do panchakarma cleanse basically, and that will help with any chronic ailments if you have, or autoimmune ailment if you have. So that's the final piece. If you have some of this chronic ailment going, then definitely do contact the Ayurveda healer who may help you specifically individualizing your program according to your dosha, your balance prakriti, your imbalance vikruti, and then really design a customized regimen so that you get more benefits and some consistent results. So this is quick sharing about Ayurveda and healthy hair. Namaste.